The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Quirky Dog Podcast, inspired by some of the quirkiest dogs you can ever imagine and the owners who love them. This podcast is brought to you by the quirky couple themselves, Scott and Jess Williams. Their aim is to educate and entertain. Here's Scott and Jess.
Welcome, guys, and happy Wednesday. We are coming to you from Two Guys Smoke Shop in Salem, New Hampshire, and we have our friend and our former client, Kari, here today. Kari Lavalli is joining us. Where do you live?
I live in Blackstone, Massachusetts.
She lives in Blackstone, Massachusetts. She drove up. But first, we're going to start with the quirky tip of the day.
You going to toss that my way?
Yeah, careful. Don't make anybody upset. All right, so my quirky tip of the day today, you guys, is these lick sleeves for TPLOs. Get a high-quality one, okay? So Jimmy got an infection, 5 to 6 weeks after surgery, and it just got a little bit red, but I think it was bothering him more, and he was licking more. It wasn't a huge thing right after surgery and a temperature or anything, but there was something going on, that he wasn't as comfortable. So he's in a cone all day in the crate, fine and dandy. He sleeps on our bed. I'm not going to put him in a cone on our bed, and I swear to God, at night, he was like, oh, it feels kind of funny and licking.
Waiting for us to go to sleep,
yeah,
of course.
Yeah, I have done so many things. Oh my God, I had, when I had ordered this one, I had Scott's sock covering it on one thing, and then I had to tie it to his tail and then tie it to the other side of his body. Never on in the morning.
He's like Houdini.
Yeah, I ordered this one from Amazon. It goes and ties around his neck and all this stuff. Never on in the morning. So,
interesting. When he went to eat, his leg would go up in the air. It was tied to his neck.
No, he tied it to his collar. That didn't happen one night. I'm like, oh, he's gimpy again, but he just had the pressure. So if you are going to get a lick sleeve, get a super high quality one. And if your dog needs a TPLO and especially has the surgery for the TPLO, make sure they're not licking it. Okay, Kari, welcome. Thank you so much for coming up. You wrote us after our 200th episode and said, I want to come on and talk about Portuguese water dogs.
Portuguese water dogs and training them in water.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about today. What is the sport called?
So the Portuguese Water Dog Club of America has what we call water trials. And the water trials have different levels on them, and they're supposed to replicate what they did with fishermen, though they really don't. So
can other breeds compete in this, or it's just...
Not in those water trials.
They're very hoity-toity, this breed.
They're only for Portuguese water dogs. However, I trained with another woman who is a Portuguese water dog owner, who was one of the very first judges for this, who actually helped create these water trials. She started a program called Canine Water Sports.
Okay.
And that is open to all breeds.
And is it similar, the training for that sport? And
Not at all.
Oh, okay.
It has similar components. You're still going to train the dogs in the same way to get them to go into the water and train the water. But she has so many cool exercises. She has weaves in the water.
Oh, fun.
She has all kinds of
It's like water aerobics.
It's way beyond aerobics. But she has all kinds of really cool things. And they expand from what you would see in the Portuguese Water Dog Club of America's trials.
Okay. All right. Tell us a little bit about you before we get too deep into this. So you are an instructor. Kari's been both of our students over the past decade plus.
I know.
Go way back.
I was actually one of Scott's first students when he moved to Massachusetts from Evil, California.
It seems like 14, 15 years ago. It's getting to be a while. 2009, 2010.
2009.
Yeah.
2009.
Well, we're in 2024, so.
Exactly. So, yeah.
She was committed.
I was. Yeah, in more ways than one. And then when you guys opened the place in Lowell, I became your student. So.
Yeah. So we go, I think, wasn't I picking your puppy up for puppy class at one point? Going.
Yeah, so you had Belle. That was Belle. Yeah, exactly.
Kari was teaching, you're a professor.
Yes, I'm a professor at BU at the College of General Studies.
So she'd bring me the dog. She wanted to come to my class. What was that deal that we even did? I would come and meet you in Lowell and then bring her to my house. I don't even remember how it worked.
No idea.
But literally, I babysat the dog so she could be in my puppy class because you had to teach and you didn't want the dog in the car all day.
Right. There you go.
So we go way back. Tell us about Portuguese water dogs and why they're your
passion. I have a question
and all
real quick.
that.
Why do they look like they have no pants on?
Okay, so that actually has to do with their role as fishermen's dogs. So you shave off the butt, essentially shave off the whole butt, and you just have the tail, a flag at the end, and that's so the fishermen could literally see them in the water, because these guys are super happy in the water, and their tail is straight up, and that's literally the only thing you can see at certain points.
Well, wouldn't that be up even if you didn't shave them?
Yeah, but then you'd have drag. You'd have a lot of drag with lots of the hair. So you just leave the flag. So that's supposed to decrease the drag on the powerhouse of the dog, shaving the butt.
Okay.
But then you're keeping the lungs and the heart and all of the
Warm.
intestines warm by leaving the coat on.
Gotcha.
So, and the fishermen, this is not what happens in the U.S. today, but the fishermen used to shave the muzzle and the face right up to about here so the dogs could see. Everybody likes the
That's
fluff.
so they can cut through the water with that nose without the drag.
No, it's just so that they can actually see what they're doing, particularly since they were supposed to also dive their head underwater and pick things up.
So yeah, what did they do for the fishermen? Like what was their role?
So their role
Keep
was...
the birds away.
We always have guests on and then Scott answers all the
It's
questions.
okay. But luckily he answers them wrong.
That's
How surprising.
Unluckily for his credibility and the podcast credibility.
Continuity, though.
He's just taking up
There you go.
taking up space.
So they were supposed to send messages between the two boats. So think about pre-sonar, pre-radio.
Yeah.
Think about, you're working off of small boats that you're usually rowing.
Right, dories that are dropped off
right?
of the big ship.
So they're supposed to jump off those, take messages to other boats, to other fishermen.
So how
and
far
come
would
back
they
and forth.
swim?
Well, in our test, they have to swim 60 feet.
But like in the real
You
world.
can't yell?
Longer
60
than
feet?
60 feet. Longer than 60
Oh, clearly,
feet.
yeah.
And they were supposed to work all day long. So
They might tow a bottle of rum from one boat to
Yeah,
another.
they could do that. At least it was tied to a rope. They were supposed to set buoys. So, when you have a net, you usually have a buoy that marks where it's going to be. They would set those buoys out in the water.
So the dogs themselves would do that.
Yeah, they could drag the net out and set the net with the buoy
Wow,
out
so
there.
very practical, like
very
actual
practical.
like
and they were
working
supposed
dogs.
to retrieve stuff you dropped overboard. So they're supposed to dive and
So
pick things up.
wasn't water intoxication a concern, or
Well, they were bred for this.
They were bred for this.
but they're swimming all day, I guess.
You
they
wouldn't
just,
breed them if they were dying.
My favorite description of these guys is they are, quote, very resistant to fatigue.
Okay.
And so when people get them as puppies, they're like, why is this puppy always busy?
Yeah.
It's because
That's the
they're
other
very
thing.
resistant to fatigue.
That's the other thing. Kari breeds these nut jobs too. So yeah. So you have a lot of experience with the breed. When
Right.
did you get involved in the breed?
I got involved in the breed in 2007 when I had moved back from Texas. And I had a colleague that I had worked with on lobster research, and she was breeding Portuguese water dogs. I had Siberian Huskies at that time.
Oh, so a little bit of a switch up.
Yeah.
But a strong working dog again,
Right.
and dogs bred for a purpose.
And I was actually looking for a new Siberian Husky, and she called me up and said, "What are you? Are you crazy? They have a lot of fur. Are you stupid? Just come and get a Portuguese water dog. I have one for you."
So it was just instant. You've loved it. It was awesome.
We went and met it, and we said, "This is a pretty nice dog," and we took it. And that was
They
Asta.
remind me of
that was Asta.
They remind me of poodles with
Yes.
the coat.
Well, yeah,
And even
they're
a lot of
closely
structurally,
related.
yeah, they
They're
look-
closely related
Yeah.
to poodles. So
And they're very intelligent.
they're very
They
smart.
can be a little sharp sometimes.
Yeah, so I kind of equate them on the same level as border collies. They're smart like border collies. They don't have quite as many
Low
OCD
tolerance for stupidity.
low tolerance for stupidity. Unlike a border collie, however, because they don't have the OCD behaviors, they are like, okay, I did this 3 times. You apparently do not like what I am doing. Let me change it. So training them is challenging because you have to do 3 to 5 reps and stop. You have to stop yourself because
Yeah,
they
and
will change things up.
didn't Belle have a really poor appetite? Wasn't it hard?
Yeah, Belle did not. So there's a lot of Portuguese water dogs who don't have great appetites.
Not good
Food's
food drive, yeah.
So she was difficult until she had 2 litters, and then she was starving all the time.
Yeah, good. Those
and-
hormones worked for you.
Yeah. No, the puppy sucking her dry, I think worked for her.
Yeah.
But my guys all have good food drive, and he in particular has really spectacular toy drive.
Okay, yeah, she has one streak here below the thing. We'll take photos for the thumbnail with them, and maybe we'll get them up just so you can see them before the end. All right, so you saw the breed. I do want to just do a disclaimer though here. This isn't a good normal pet dog breed.
People think that they're great pet dogs because unfortunately the AKC says that they're good with children.
Well, the AKC says a lot about
Every
it.
dog is great on the AKC.
Yeah, exactly.
Akitas are lovers on AKC.
Oh my God. So they are difficult dogs. So they have extremely hard mouths, and that's what people don't understand. They're not a golden. They're not a lab.
They're not bred for that soft hold for ducks or whatever.
They're going to bring you back a duck that's got holes in it, that's neck's broken, feathers are falling out of it, and it looks like a wreck.
Yeah.
But that's because they were bred to move stuff in ocean water. So they have to have a really hard
You
bite.
can't be carrying a buoy with a soft mouth through current.
Exactly.
I'm catching on now.
So when they bite as a puppy, they bite.
Yeah.
I mean, they really, really bite. And they have, like all puppies, they have needle teeth. And so it's really quite painful. And also, like Border Collies and like some other dogs, if you sort of move your hands around, they're going to be like, oh, it's the best thing ever.
Yeah,
Let me just bite you. So kids are bad. I mean, I think kids are bad because kids, like, they flail about, particularly little kids. Yeah. They flail about and they're crazy and they squeal. And that's going to, like, get their attention instantaneously. Yeah. And so I won't place any puppy with a family that has kids under 6.
Yeah, well, and really, I mean, most of your puppies are like doing something in some sort of sport discipline for the most part, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
they don't seem like they would do well just sitting on the couch all day.
No, they'd probably eat the couch.
Yeah.
I just want to make that disclaimer here while we're talking them up and saying all these great things, because I mean, poodles to me are still a working breed as well, but I think they're more bred for the pet dog spectrum than the Portuguese water dog. Yeah. And this is like
and that being said, people have a lot of trouble with poodles too.
Yeah, a lot. We see poodles all the time for aggression and all kinds of stuff. Okay, so I just want to say that because they're not a super popular breed.
No, they're becoming very popular.
Oh, they are now?
They're becoming very, very popular. And so
are they doing like coat color stuff? Like
well, we don't have merles, thank God.
Okay.
But we do have
it's coming.
We have whites and creams.
Okay.
And we're seeing more of those.
And I've seen like some apricot or silvery ones or
those
something
are the
too.
Creams.
The creams, okay.
Yeah, so
and that's a breed default normally?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Not yet. As long as they've got the right pigmentation. So they're supposed to have big black pigmentation in their mouth.
But like would the fishermen sometimes have like a cream?
You wouldn't see a white one in there because they get sunburned.
Oh, okay. Okay. But it's like the Goldens that were bred forever ago. Creams were popping out and still. Okay, I understand. Right. Okay. All right. So I just wanted to clarify what the breed was and that it's not necessarily is the breed for you. So you got involved in 2007, you said?
I did. That was my first one. It was 2007. And I started doing obedience with it.
Asta was a very sweet girl. We all know Asta.
She was very sweet. And then when Scott came here, we did nose work, although she much preferred barn hunt. She really liked killing.
Yeah. Chasing live things.
Yeah,
hunting
she did.
for live things.
So, like, she wiped my yard out of chipmunks. She just killed them all. Here's this sweet dog, and she was like this massive chipmunk.
You got to put a little of that birch odor on the chipmunk.
I didn't have to do that.
They drop buoys and they act like Jack Russells. It's all good. All right, let's go to break super quick. And we get back, we're going to talk more about these water sports because that's really why we're here.
Right.
Want to keep up with all the latest from the Quirky Dog podcast like me and Murphy here? Then make sure you head on over to the YouTube channel and subscribe. Or if you prefer to listen to the madness, go on over to iTunes or Spotify and follow the Quirky Dog Podcast. And hey, while you're there, leave a rating and review and let them know what you think of the show. Till then, keep it quirky.
He's kind of not joking. All right, so so the water sports. You started in obedience. When did you get into the fake fisherman thing?
So I tried with Asta, and she was a Portuguese wading dog. She did not really like to swim, although she was actually a very good swimmer. And so I had to, in my second dog, which was her son, Darwin.
He was a very nice dog.
He was a fabulous dog.
I liked Asta a lot too, but Darwin had more drive and he was more well-rounded and very social.
We had an above-ground pool in our yard, and one day I come out and my husband says, "Oh, you got to watch this. You got to watch this." And so I'm standing on the deck.
The Portuguese water dog was swimming.
No, he went to the edge of the pool and he jumped straight into it and he was swimming. And I was like, how's he going to get out of this above-ground pool? I mean, I'm freaking out. My husband's like, "Isn't that the coolest thing ever?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, I have to teach him how to climb out of the ladder."
Yeah.
So,
but he was driven to the water. Like
he was driven to the water, and he did it by himself, and I didn't have to really teach him or anything. So then I was like, "Ooh, now I have to figure out really how to teach dogs who don't want to do this."
Did he continually jump in and out on his own will? Or?
Absolutely, and I did teach him how to climb out of the ladder so he could do it. He did it every single day that the pool was open.
That's why he was so well conditioned.
That's right, and unfortunately, eventually, we got rid of the pool, which was very sad for him.
Okay.
But then I have a friend in Bolton, Massachusetts, who has a 2-acre spread, and it ends on a pond, and she lets me train there. And so I bought him a boat.
She had the little dogs, right?
Yeah, she has Quirkies.
Yeah, we trained with them. We all go way back. Yeah. Okay, so then you trained on the pond there.
So I trained on the pond there. I bought him a boat.
So Darwin was the first dog you competed in this exclusive. I feel like it's such an exclusive club.
It is. Well, it is for these kinds of water trails, yes.
Yeah, I know.
But it's the Newfies.
Can other breeds watch
Newfies
in a tent?
Oh yeah, Newfies.
She was a national champion the first week she started.
Stop it.
Newfies also have their own water trials as well.
Oh, okay.
So and that's
Well, they're more rare than this breed too. Okay, so you competed with him, and then since Darwin, you've been training this with Portuguese water dogs.
And when I was competing with him, I went to Connecticut, where they have a lot of training, and they have a lot of people who've been doing this for years and years and years. And the person I met was Deborah Lee Miller-Riley, and she's the one who started Canine Water Sports.
Okay.
And I started training under her.
Okay.
And she has a unique method of training dogs who are a little bit hesitant about water, because what happens is dogs. A lot of dogs just go into the water and they don't have a problem. A lot of dogs do what Darwin did, just jump into it, don't worry about it, or jump off a boat, don't worry about it. But a lot of dogs freak out when you have to walk down a beach
And then their feet lose the ground, yeah.
Their feet don't hit the ground. And
Yeah.
that's the freak out point, and many dogs stop there. That's the problem. So she has this unique method to teach
Was
dogs
this
to get
the
over that.
stuff that was in the videos?
Yes.
Now, is this the one with the place? The place.
Yeah,
out
we're
in the
gonna
water?
show. We're gonna
I
show
remember those
videos.
videos from years ago.
Yeah, but
Many years
I
ago.
edited some. That's what I was doing this morning.
Yeah.
I edited some. So is that to teach them to swim, not only just to have value to get on the platform?
Yes, it's absolutely to teach them to get over that spot where your feet don't
freak
touch
out spot,
anymore.
yeah.
So
Well, swimming's a side effect of getting to the
swimming
platform.
is a side effect of getting to the platform.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like that
He's
platform
catching
is
on.
so
He doesn't
he
wanna be
is.
fired.
I know.
I better participate because my time's limited here.
Right. So you make that platform so valuable, and it's white, so they can see it out. You make it so valuable that they don't even think about what they're doing. Once they're like really used to going to that platform, they're like, platform is out there. I'm going to go there because that's where I get steak or meatballs,
Yeah,
or chicken.
you're building a lot of value, and you're not necessarily shaping to it. You're
No.
building value for it because there wasn't really shaping going on in the video. There was some stuff.
It'd be kind of cool if you had tide in the pond. It's low tide. He doesn't run out there. And then the water just keeps coming
Don't have
up.
to worry about that in a pond. In a pond. Don't have to worry about that in a pond.
All right, let's show the video super quick, and then Kari can fill in the blanks just so people know what the heck we're talking about. So this is how they teach the dogs to swim, and it is a brilliant method. And I saw the value of the raised platform as I was editing these videos. It's smart to get that when it first goes out there. Okay, we're ready, Christy, when you're ready.
So this is Epic, who is one of the puppies I bred.
This is Shelby. She
And
used
this
to
is
be a
Shelby.
former employee of ours.
Yep.
It's like old home week here.
So we're just training the puppy to go to a platform. It's close to the water, but not at the water. Eventually we scoot it closer. This is a raised platform that will be in the water at one point.
And this is the value building to
Yep.
the platform.
Yep. So you get rewarded for going on the platform. You
And
don't
she's
really get
bouncing
rewarded.
back and forth here. Your videography was a bit off, but now we're going from the raised one to the flat one.
Right.
And then
she-
they get a little help off that life jacket too. Huh? Just
Yeah.
a little more
So
buoyancy.
the other thing, I never train a puppy without a life jacket. A lot of people don't want to put a life jacket on a puppy. I never train one without a life jacket.
It's like training wheels.
Well, no, it's because a lot of dogs don't know how to stay level in the water, so their butt sinks, and when their
Right.
butt sinks,
They
they
panic.
flail. They
Yeah.
flail.
I just want to make the point now that the platforms are in the water.
Right.
Dog went on the raised platform, and then now it's the less high platform, and then it's a
Right.
little bit farther out in the water. So it is
Right.
kind of a brilliant way to.
Right.
There she is, getting
Yep.
on the platform in the water.
And so for this puppy, that's almost swim height because
Yeah, she's so small, so young.
Small.
Yeah.
But this is what we do, and we just progress this, and we get it further and further out, and then eventually we have ones that are as tall as this table is, and then we'll send them to back and forth between those, and so they then learn how to jump.
So that you're doing that on the flat ground, not the water.
No, that's in the water.
Oh,
They're
okay.
in the water. They're sunk in the water. They can just see the edge of the
So they're
white.
jumping out of the water onto a platform?
So they run. They like literally run down the beach. They swim over to the platform. They get on the platform, and then we have a second platform. We have them jump between the platforms.
Oh, I
and
see.
That is eventually teaching them how to jump off a boat.
Okay, I get it. I'm like envisioning the dog swimming and then like having to jump up to a table
No,
this
no, no.
high on the platform, and I'm like, that is very athletic.
No,
Okay.
So the really tall platforms are built with edges, so the dogs can put their feet up on the
Okay.
edge, and then and also we teach the people, because ultimately this is going to be important for getting onto a boat, to put their hand behind the dog's head like this, and the dog will push off and just come right onto the platform by themselves.
Oh, okay.
So
Nice.
it's like an opposition reflex.
Yeah.
If I put my hand here, and you have your paws here, you just push back, and then
Yeah.
you lift up on there.
So how far apart are the platforms that the dogs are jumping?
Oh, we can make them as far apart as we can get.
I know, like what's a really impressive.
Like 20 feet or so.
Yeah,
or-
10 feet, 20 feet, et cetera. And eventually we'll use those to train the highest level, which is the courier ball drop, which is a nightmare exercise.
So a dog is on a platform, they're not running, and they jump from one to another, and they can jump
They jump,
20
No,
feet.
they jump and
into
swim.
the water.
Yeah.
See, he's got it.
They're not jumping.
They jump into
it's
the
not
water.
a hurdle.
Well, I want to know the platform to platform.
Yeah, so if there's a platform here and there's a platform here, they jump off of this platform, they swim to this one, they get onto this one, then they'll jump and they'll go back. So we teach them just to be very confident swimmers back and forth. And we are also teaching them that, somewhere magically there might be a platform out there eventually.
Okay.
So we do so much platform work that first year of training that they literally believe that there's platforms all over.
Okay.
And then you
So
can have
they're-
1 inch under the water. And
They're like running kind of like off a dock, but they're landing on the platform to get the 20 feet, right?
No.
They're not running off the
They're swimming.
They're swimming between
These are 2
platforms.
islands. They're swimming between
okay.
the islands.
So there's no jumping.
They
They jump off the island.
They're jumping off the island.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got it.
They're not waiting. There's
Right.
not a beach on the platform.
Exactly.
It's just a.
All right.
Because ultimately, in the actual, after you get past the first 2 levels, which are off the beach, it's just retrieves off the beach. After you get those 2 levels, then you are then you're doing boat to boat.
Can you have a platform in the boat?
No.
That'd be
The
a
back of
training
the
aid.
boat. The back of the boat is a platform. You're
Oh, it is.
sitting on it, and the dog is sitting on it. The dog is not allowed to go anywhere inside the boat.
But that's very similar to what their training has been.
Exactly.
They're right on their
exactly.
little
So they're on a
platform. They're
big
ready
wood
to go.
They're on a wood platform that's usually got carpeting on it, and everybody's happy. There might be a step if you want to use
So if
that.
you go out with your dog recreationally boating, you got to make sure the damn dog doesn't jump off your boat.
Well, unless you tell it to.
Right. but if they have a lot of value, they're just looking out there for something to jump to.
Right.
They think that they see something white out there.
There's a lot of people who buy these dogs who have boats who want them to jump off the boats and have a
go
good time.
swimming.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
So-
all right. And you had an incident training in this sport with a Portuguese water dog recently that was pretty intense. Oh, this one.
Well, what happened with him?
All right, yeah, this is a good story. Let's talk about this.
So
I'm glad you're okay, by the way. I'm not trying to make light of it.
So I have this training group. So all of my puppy owners are invited to this training group. That if they want to do water sports, I will help them train their dogs to do it. So we now have and Shelby's part of this group as well. So she's actually one of the trainers now.
Oh, very good. Shelby's
so-
a very, very good journey. She's a very good trainer.
So we meet usually 2 to 3 times a week in the summertime, and we train our dogs. And now we started out with 1 boat. We now have 3 boats. We're so excited.
Wow.
And we have 3 platforms. We have
So
everything.
these boats are like little 10
They're 14. They're
12?
12 to 14 foot
Yeah.
rowboats.
Right.
And
With
then
a little-
we build a platform that actually fits on the back of the boat. And then we get good rowers. We're training rowers right now. And so at the level after the beach, you have 1 boat that's a major boat. Your dog is going to retrieve a bunch of things that are thrown off the side of the boat. They're going to retrieve things that are far away. They're also going to transfer to another boat and stay on that other boat while they get rowed away from you. And then you're going to be flinging things off of your boat and telling them to go get them. They have to stay until you
Wow,
tell them.
this is intense.
So you're doing a lot of
It's very intense.
You're doing directional work.
A lot of directional work.
Yeah.
And you can't have a lot of separation anxiety when the dog's swimming away
No, you
in their
can't.
boat. Yeah.
And you have to work on that with
Yeah,
some
no,
of the-
I know,
some
I'm
of the
sure.
dogs.
All right, so
Nice
tell
to
us.
have
And then-
that.
Exactly. So then the courier level is the last level where you're actually working off of 2 boats. So the dog is jumping off of this boat and getting something from this boat or delivering something to this boat and
Like
then bringing
rum.
it back. Just like they would have done.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a rum
Like a
nip.
fisherman.
Nip,
Exactly.
Okay.
No, like a big net
Yeah.
or something.
maybe.
Yeah.
Some
All right,
whale
so
blubber or something.
tell us your story because this is crazy.
So we have several trials in this area per year. We have 1 in Maine. I missed that because my dog was having a litter, so I had to
Okay.
be home for that litter.
We're exit 1 next time you come to
Exactly.
Maine. Give me a text.
Okay,
We'll have you
then
over for
Well, they were like day-old puppies.
a sit down.
So
I know. Next trial in Maine. I'm just saying we're exit 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
good.
like
because this is Scarborough.
I'm
This is
sending
at
the information.
Scarborough, if you
Yeah,
ever
so
wanna go.
we're a pea stop, coffee stop.
There
we
you go. All right. So then, so I missed that one, and I was training a dog for courier, and I was training him for apprentice, which is the beach one. And so the next one was in September, early September. September, I want to say 9th or 10th, something like that. So, and that was in Connecticut. So my classes started September 7th, 8th. No, they started September 6th. I had September 7th off. Then I had to teach September 8th, and then the trial was 9th and 10th.
She's
right?
talking about her classes for college.
Yeah.
She's
Okay, get to the good stuff, will you?
So Shelby was there training for courier, and I had another person there training for working, and then I was training for apprentice. And Shelby had an appointment, so she left and abandoned me. And the other person was supposed to stay and help do the final cleanup because this was the final training session, and then we have to go pull markers, and we have to do all this other junk, and we have to get it all stored away.
Yeah.
She left too. So
So this is just a good safety precaution with the sport.
Don't let everybody leave. And this is at my friend's house, and my friend was at home working with her significant other, but apparently they have so soundproofed their house they can't hear anything.
Okay.
So
or you're just not as loud as I am.
Oh, I'm pretty loud. Trust me, I'm pretty loud.
All right.
So we had finished our training. I had taken him for a little row around the pond, and we had picked up all the markers, and I was taking the third marker up to pack it away. He was with me. I was wet. He was wet. I'm coming out of the shed where we're storing all this stuff, and that dog just nails me from behind and makes me slide down the ramp, and I slam my shoulder
Like jumps on you.
Rams into me.
Oh, okay.
Just hit the back of your knees.
Just hit the back of my knees. Exactly.
Yeah.
He's got it. He's got it today.
And you collapsed.
So I slid down a ramp and smashed my shoulder into a metal door and broke it. And
That's
then
crazy.
I was down flat on the ground and I don't know if you've
what
ever,
was going on with him?
And the dog said, let me bring you something.
Well,
you look injured.
let me tell you, I do curse. And so I cursed him up one side and down the other, so he ran away.
Oh, okay. So now she's without dog,
without dog,
busted shoulder.
Dog is running around and doing whatever, and it's a 2-acre spread. And I'm screaming for help because I can't get up because literally, if you've ever broken your shoulder, you can't move. You can move, but you don't really want to.
Mm-hmm.
So
how did this whole situation end? Because this is kind of crazy.
yeah, so I had to get him back first. I realized I had to get him back first. So I had to be nice to him and coax him back. And then I had to get him to jump over my body and get into the shed and just lie down.
Oh my God. Okay, so now Streak is in the shed lying down. And how did you get saved?
So then it took a while before I decided that maybe I could roll over onto my right side and pull myself up with the other door, which I did. And then I was in a sitting position. But then I had to figure out how do I get from a sitting position to a standing position when I can't really use one whole side of my body.
This is why people need to do yoga.
Yeah, or they get the little med alert thing there.
Yeah, except my phone was down by the
I've
boat.
fallen, I can't get up.
And I don't have one of those stupid Apple Watches, but my phone was down by the boat.
Okay.
So that took a little while. I finally figured out how to get up. I went down to the boat and I called for help. And I had been screaming for help, but literally nobody heard me.
Yeah,
so.
but I mean, you were laid up for a bit down
So
there.
did you go right to the emergency room or what?
Yeah, so my friend, you're going to laugh. So my friend came down because she was at home and she's like, oh my God, I can't believe all this happened. She came down and I'm like, you need to give him a bath or he's going to get a skin infection. So
Of course.
Priority.
Yeah, first and foremost.
So she gave him a bath and dried him off and put him into my car's crate. And then I said, you need to call my husband. He needs to come and get the dog. And then your significant other needs to drive our other car back to my house. So that was all arranged. And then she worked on getting me to a hospital, right?
Crazy.
And at the hospital, they were like, you broke your shoulder. And I'm like, okay, are you talking about my scapula or are you talking about my humerus? And they're like, oh.
Clavicle.
You seem to know. Or that would have been another option. And they're like, oh, you seem to know your bones. And so then they told me I broke the head of the humerus.
Oh, my gosh.
So, yeah.
So it can be a little dangerous, and don't train alone. So do you always have to bathe the dogs afterward?
Another reason not to get a Portuguese water dog.
No, you don't always have to bathe them afterwards, but I've always found that if you do bathe them afterwards, or if you get, a lot of us carry a bottle that's vinegar water, and we'll splash it on their underside, because if they're sitting in a car in a crate and driving long distances, it just sort of festers and gets gross.
And it's like that doodly kind of
and
coat
they get
too.
yeast infections or staph infections, and so if you throw vinegar on them or if you do something, it prevents them.
Okay. So. Wow, crazy. This is so much. I'm learning so much. All right. Is there anything we missed about the breed?
Well, we missed the wrist break.
Yeah,
share that in Barn Hunt.
I did that in Barn Hunt, but that was at the beginning of the years, and I did that with his mother.
That's another podcast. I can only deal with one Kari injury and one sport at a time. Anything else about Portuguese water dogs or breeding them or this sport that we missed that's
They're actually
important?
fun to breed. They're pretty hardy. The females are.
How many
cute.
litters have you had by now?
This is litter E, so this is my 5th litter.
Okay. Again, don't breed them recreationally.
No,
They're not fun for everyone, but if you're committed to the breed and you're doing things with the breed, then they're fun to breed.
How many puppy clients have broken bones? So we get
So far, none. Shelby might be the closest who could do it because she does fly ball and she does agility and she does, she does water and she does all the other crazy things.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
But yeah.
So breeding them is fun. You enjoy the puppies.
The puppies are a blast to raise, except for this litter was not fun to raise. But because I had a litter on the ground when I broke this this arm, and they were 5 weeks old.
Oh, okay.
So they weren't
That's
so
a
much
lot.
fun to raise. But
Yeah.
usually they're fun to raise because they're very active puppies, and you can start training them. I usually have them clicker trained by 6 weeks, and I usually they're
Now, when you
trained-
have both arms.
they're trained to retrieve, and they're trained to do stuff. They go on all kinds of surfaces. They're
Cool.
kind of like pre-agility
Nice.
prepped.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Good.
they're fun.
And
they're
you
fun
enjoy
puppies.
that. Kari's got that education in her and that background
Yeah,
in her and
yeah,
all
they're
that.
like-
When do you get them out of the life jackets?
I never take mine out of the life jacket until they trial. So they're in a life jacket until they trial.
And then they go out there, and all of a sudden they're like, "Holy shit!
Well-
I'm not floating."
No. They're like, wow, I can really move
lot more
fast.
freedom.
It's like taking off the chains.
The life jacket is drag. It's like literally drag. So I'm building. If I leave him in a life jacket all summer long, they're making muscles, man.
Yeah.
And they're really getting good at it. And then you take it off, and they're like, oh my god, I can motor.
Yeah.
So Shelby's dog is really fast. All my dogs are really fast in the water because of that.
Yeah, we use them too. I use them with my Malinois because he gets so into the act of retrieving in the water that he could get out there and get himself.
He'll just sink.
Yes.
He's too fatigued.
Yes.
And if he can't find it, he won't come back. He has to find his item.
Well, you
Things
remember,
like that.
you guys remember Uda, right? My border collie. So my border collie would go out, and literally she would stay out until she drowned.
Yeah.
So she
Yeah.
was always in a
Yeah.
jacket,
Just for safety.
But she was great because Darwin. There's one exercise in the Apprentice one where. You leave the dog on the beach, you go into what would be swim depth for the dog, and the dog has to come into you and swim with you for 2 minutes. And the dogs think that this is the stupidest exercise. And most of us think it's a stupid exercise too, because it's pointless. I was like, you're just swimming back and forth.
Yeah.
And we're like, I know fishermen, they don't know how to swim. If anything, the dog would be dragging their sorry butts back to the shore
Right.
in a life ring, right? So all of us think this is a terrible exercise, and the dog thinks it's a terrible exercise too. So they get out there and they swim and they swim, and they're like, "This is pointless. I'm coming back in." And when they want to come in, they can haul butt right back in. So you always fail this exercise. So Darwin failed this exercise. I can't even tell you how many times. And finally, when I had Uda, I was like, "Oh well, I have this crazy dog who will stay out here and swim for hours."
Yeah.
And so I just went out with her, and I left him on the beach, and I'm like, "You want to come in? Come in. You don't want to come in? Don't come in." And he got so angry after a half an hour of sitting on the beach. Got so angry that he was still
that he
out
went
there.
in out
He
of
came
jealousy.
in, and he stayed in for 20 minutes, and then we passed.
That's so funny. I love that. All right. Thank you so much, Kari, for coming on. Streak is
welcome.
being such a good boy. We're going to have him in the thumbnail so you can see him.
Hey.
But if you guys are not familiar with
he is.
Portuguese water dogs or this water sport, check it out. This is maybe something to try. What's the one that's open to all breeds? What's it called?
Canine water sports.
Canine water sports. All right. And there'll be links in the description for all of this too. Kari, it's so good to see you again.
Yes,
Thank you
nice
for
to see you
joining us
too.
here today. And you guys, if you need anything from us, you know where to find us. You can email us at studio@thequirkydog.com. If you need a Portuguese water dog, I have a friend here to contact. And we will see you next week. And in the meantime, keep
Keep
it
it
quirky.
quirky.
Bye, guys.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.